bath is not white.
No, it's sort of green, isn't it?
It's avocado, you
Good news! See, I've always wanted a General Electric washer. Now I can get their large capacity washer with this exclusive mini basket tub.
There are some home features in the past that were so awkward they would leave you speechless, while others were fascinating. Today we'll have a look at weird and outdated home features from the past. One time it was popular to have a space with recessed seating areas that were surrounded by steps, and they were called sunken living rooms. Emerging in the 50s, they gained popularity between the 60s and 70s. The cozy, low spaces provided a more intimate feel designed for relaxation and socializing. Almost like a space that was meant for a small swimming pool, but the architect changed their mind. The sunken living room was way ahead of its time and presented with various issues like tripping hazards, lack of consideration for children and the elderly, and difficulty in cleaning due to poor practicality. In the 20th century, open floors became popular and the trend shifted toward more practical space. One thing you can always bank on is that old trends will come around in the future, and today, sunken living rooms are popular in modern concept homes combining nostalgic features of the past with futuristic design. Remember those slots that were built into doors in the mid-20th century? Indoor mail slots were built either on the front or on the wall of a home. They allowed mail delivery to drop letters directly into the house, and the mail would either land in a small box or directly on the floor. Indoor slots were convenient and a secure way for homeowners to receive mail, especially in extreme weather conditions. They were helpful in avoiding stolen letters and pranks, and were featured in movies like Home Alone in 1990 and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in 2001. While they seemed like a good idea, there were a few design problems. Not every size of mail would fit in the slot, and they were seen as no longer practical because people couldn't have bigger mail put through them. It allowed cold air into the home in the winter, which was a problem, and burglars would often peek through to see if anyone was there and try to manipulate door locks. Ultimately, the indoor mail slot fell out of fashion and stopped being cool.
Here's a more reasonable option by using a garage door operator to actually construct a dumbwaiter.
You've probably seen these small mechanical elevators in old multi-story homes and buildings known as the dumbwaiter. They may not have very good reputations in horror movies, but were quite effective for carrying out daily operations with less labor and were convenient, especially in moving cumbersome items around the house from floor to floor. Dumbwaiters occupied very little space compared to a regular-sized elevator and were operated through a pulley system or powered by electricity in later models. Invented by George W. Cannon, these manual elevators have been around since the 18th century, especially in restaurants, hotels, and Victorian-era homes. At that time, multi-level mansions were complex, and there were houses where the kitchen and dining area were located on different floors. Dumbwaiters went out of trend due to technological advancements, changes in household dynamics, and safety concerns over mechanical issues. They may have disappeared from modern homes, but still exist in old houses and mansions. Shag carpeting was one feature that you'd likely see in every home in the 60s and 70s. The long, thick, fluffy fibers were the iconic style of the mid-20th century, used in parlor rooms, lounges, and more. They usually came in earthy colors like mustard yellow, green, orange, and others, and the shaggy plush texture gave it a soft feel under your feet. It was easily compatible with the eclectic and psychedelic free-spirited design of the time, and the shag carpet slowly went out of favor as interior design preferences would shift. But even before the shift to minimalist designs, the shag carpet trapped dust, dirt, and debris and was difficult to clean. It wore down easily in high-traffic areas and turned shabby rather than stylish. It occasionally surfaces in retro-themed design, but remains just a memory for most.
Our most popular add-on to the central vacuum system is the vac pan.
Old homes in the 60s and 70s were designed with built-in vacuum systems, allowing you to clean your home at any time of the day. They usually had a network of hidden pipes installed inside of the walls of homes, with a powerful vacuum unit located in the garage, basement, or utility room. To use them, owners would plug a vacuum hose into a specialized outlet, which was linked to the central unit, allowing for easy cleaning without the need to drag around a portable vacuum cleaner. The built-in vacuum eliminated the need to empty the bag. It was more quiet than traditional vacuums and added value to a home, becoming a symbol of luxury and convenience. But the problem with built-in vacuums was the installation costs, maintenance, and repair complexities. The introduction of cordless portable vacuums that were lightweight, powerful, and convenient were the final nail in the coffin. Built-in vacuums may no longer be popular, but they're still available in very high-end homes. One of the cutting-edge features of the 1950s home was the intercom system, allowing communication between different rooms. There were no phones at the time, so this invention was wall-mounted in multiple rooms with a central panel installed in the kitchen or the living room. Intercom systems made it simple for people to call each other, improving room-to-room interaction, which was helpful, especially for a very large home. They were used to screen visitors or deliveries without going to the door, and it improved safety for everyone inside. Some intercom systems were often used as a source of entertainment, like music speakers that were integrated into the system, allowing the operator to broadcast music or announcements through the house. And the audio function added a touch of class and sophistication. The intercom began to phase out with advancements in technology. Home designs were built in ways that made the systems unnecessary and just plain ugly to have around. Home decor was different in the old days. One of the most notable features that defined the era was wood paneling. From the 50s to the 70s, wood paneling was a major trend that added a touch of distinctive rustic flavor with columns and rows of wood veneer that stood out. Wood paneling offered an inviting atmosphere and was of a wide variety, from sophisticated faux wood to cheaper and more affordable materials like particle board and plywood. The popularity of wood paneling began to decline as the trend shifted. Maintenance over time became problematic as older woods became warped and scratched, and repairing each section was difficult. Wood paneling was a thing of the past for modern homes, but it's still widely used in thematic homes and regions where wooden homes are the norm. If you missed the era of pink avocado and green bathrooms, you may have missed out on one of the most culturally awkward eras, notably from the 50s to the 70s. These bold color schemes were seen in many homes just after the Second World War. It's said the pink color trend was influenced by the First Lady at the time, Mamie Eisenhower, whose love for pink had inspired homeowners and estate managers alike. The color was adopted for bathrooms because it was soft and feminine, and these were seen as places of personal care and hygiene. By the 80s, pink was quickly fading and giving way to earthy tones that were more suited to the ever-evolving trends. Avocado green became the new color of preference, and there were avocado bathrooms, clothing, cars, and more. The color was featured prominently in TV shows like The Brady Bunch and That 70s Show, capturing the essence of the 70s era. Avocado green became emblematic of the 70s before trends shifted to more minimalistic and neutral designs. Popcorn ceilings have a distinct and rough, bumpy texture which earned them the name. They were popular from the 1930s to the 90s as a budget-friendly option for the ceiling and were actually used to cover up flaws like cracks, poor drywall work, and surfaces. Popcorn ceilings were called acoustic ceilings. They actually helped to dampen sounds while reducing echoes in multi-level homes. By the 1990s, homeowners wanted to get rid of their popcorn ceilings because they were no longer trendy or attractive. They accumulated dust and were difficult to clean, and to make things worse, it was found that ceilings applied in the late 70s contained asbestos, a toxic material that caused respiratory disease amongst other issues when exposed to the particles for a long time. During the 90s and 2000s, homeowners who renovated started by removing the ceilings and replacing them with smoother, sophisticated options. The 1970s embraced a trend of natural earthy tones in home decor, reflecting a cultural movement and environmental consciousness of that era. One of the features that became common in many homes was harvest gold appliances. The bold and warm yellow gold hue was seen on refrigerators, washers, and other appliances, and the vibrant pastel complemented the linoleum flooring and wood paneling. Harvest gold appliances were swept away with the tide of new trends, but remain a nostalgic reminder of a vintage kitchen look. Next up is the built-in phonograph cabinet. A prominent feature of the mid-20th century home, these cabinets played a major role in aesthetics and were used to store vinyl records. Before television, families would gather around the phonograph to enjoy an evening of soothing music, radio shows, and other audio entertainment. The cabinets evolved over time to become multifunctional entertainment centers. Built-in phonograph cabinets were considered high-end furniture in the 50s and 60s, but later began to decline in the 70s and 80s because of the changing furniture trend. Many homeowners repurposed the furniture to blend into modern home decor. If you've ever seen a small built-in alcove in the wall of old homes, it was likely a telephone niche. Telephone niches were repressed spaces in the center of a hallway, living room, or near the kitchen, and typically had a small shelf which held the landline telephone and sometimes even a phone book. Telephone niches were sophisticated, they had a built-in seat for comfort during calls, and became popular in the 20s up through the 60s, providing an isolated and organized space for the communication device. However, the 1980s came with the advent of the cordless phone and other technologies, which made telephone niches obsolete. Architectural details like niches became outdated and replaced with the sleek, seamless surfaces of minimalist design. TV antennas were an essential part of the viewing experience from the 40s to the 80s when major channels were ABC, NBC, PBS, and CBS. They served as primary receivers which allowed you to tune in the broadcasts whenever it went out of focus. These antennae were named rabbit ears because of the way the two adjustable rods stuck out of the back of the TV. These antennas were high-frequency types and could be adjusted to improve reception depending on the strength or proximity of the nearest tower. Some viewers would attach aluminum foil to the ends to further boost the reception. They began to phase out in the 90s when cable and satellite became popular. And today, we have way more advanced sources of entertainment like streaming services on the internet.
Bar stools around it in the basement? Yeah, that's a wet bar.
Wet bars are another home feature that appears to have faded into obscurity. They were pretty popular in the 1960s and designed as a small bar or counter space with a tap and a sink. These were places where drinks and cocktails were mixed before they were served to guests at house parties and casual gatherings. They were useful, and the bartender could rinse the cups and serve them without having to go to the kitchen. Wet bars added a touch of glamour to homes and came with beautiful custom cabinetry, shelves, and display stations for the drinks. Wet bars slowly disappeared as modern interior design focused on minimalism, eliminating the need for excess. Some homeowners do still appreciate the retro elegance of the wet bar and have kept them around to this day. Fold-down ironing boards were an interesting home feature that lit the torch for smart homes. They became popular in the 20s and the standard for homes that were compact, having little to no room for excess. They were wall-mounted boards that laid out horizontally when in use and could retract vertically into the space when not. They simply disappeared out of sight to avoid clutter and were easy to set up. However, they began to phase out with new modern home designs. Homeowners preferred the flexibility of moving things around and the wall-mounted board became a thing of the past. Indoor greenhouses or solariums were popular architectural features that came with homes, especially in the 1960s and 80s. These greenhouses were constructed with sizable space and ceiling windows which allowed maximum light penetration. Homeowners in this time grew out their essential plants indoors, from exotic plants and herbs to vegetables right in the comfort of their home. Solariums are of Victorian roots and often made out of ornate glass structures which help to manage sunlight and pests. The beauty of owning indoor greenhouses was you could grow plants all year round no matter the weather conditions. The popularity of these structures went into decline in the 90s because of the extra cost of building them and the high energy expenses. They were often hot in the summer and cold in the winter, making them difficult to use without a climate control system. Greenhouses are still appreciated by plant lovers today and those who are fascinated by mid-century design. Drop ceilings are another common feature you'd likely see in many homes and offices in the 60s. You recognize them by the grid framework suspended a few inches below the actual ceiling. Lightweight ceiling tiles were arranged in grid form to construct a covering that could easily be replaced individually in case of damage. They were an easy way to hide mechanical imperfections and improve the sound quality and quantity in the room. They were used in residential and commercial spaces, favored because of the ease of concealing wiring and pipes, the soundproofing qualities, and the ease of maintenance access compared to other ceiling types. The charm of drop ceilings began to wane in the 90s when smooth finishes with recessed lighting were the trend. However, they're still common, especially in commercial buildings for their practical benefits. In the mid-20th century, sewing was a cultural activity. Homes had sewing machines for private and commercial use, and women took a special liking to sewing as a hobby, and many homes came with built-in sewing machine cabinets that could fold away neatly when they were not in use. They often came with accessories like drawers and compartments for storing supplies, such as fabrics, thread, needles, scissors, and more. The style and complexity of those cabinets varied from one home to the next. The cabinet fixtures provided an immediate setup, which allowed women to continue seamlessly with their hobbies as they moved from one place to the next. Like with many other household features of the past, they became obsolete and slowly disappeared. Cigarette smoking was at its peak in the mid-20th century and was seen as glamorous, with advertisers showing various brands on TV, billboards, and magazines. Social smoking was acceptable, and people could smoke pretty much anywhere, unlike today. This led to various industries incorporating smoking into their designs. Ashtrays built into furniture were common in those days, and you could find one attached on an armrest, a sofa, a coffee table, or even in the car. It made it easy to smoke anywhere without littering the ash on the floor, and was also a way to market cigarettes, showing how culturally acceptable it had become. Ashtrays on furniture were a social norm, and integrated the trend with designs in the most sophisticated of ways possible. But as the general public became more aware of the dangers of smoking and the health risks, many began to quit and bans were put on public smoking. This was also a cue to manufacturers, who immediately stopped putting them into furniture and other places, and built-in ashtrays may have disappeared, but they remain an interesting memory of a bygone era. Have you ever seen these floor attachments in a home or workplace? It's unlikely you'd find them anywhere today. Floor grates for heating, also known as furnace grates or floor registers, were once a common feature, designed with cast iron or metal covers placed over openings on the floor. In older homes, these openings were connected to a central gravity furnace or an early ductwork system. The connection allowed heated air from the basement furnace to rise and enter the rooms above, keeping them warm in the winter. Floor grates were popular in the Victorian era, specifically in homes that were built in the late 1800s to the mid-20th century. Providing natural air circulation and were durable, they also added a form of aesthetic to the structure of the room. They had a few downsides though. They were often too hot to touch and posed a safety concern, and over time modern systems took over, eliminating the need for gravity-based heat distribution systems. Which of these home features from the past would you want to bring back? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another memory in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.